Welcome back. We have breaking news for you here. I believe we are just minutes away now from Air Force Two heading into Phoenix Sky Harbor airspace, bringing back the body of Charlie Kirk.
And aboard Air Force Two is Vice President J.D. Vance, along with his wife, USA. We also know that they are traveling with Kirk's family, as well as some of his friends from Salt Lake City, Utah. They left about roughly an hour ago, and really they're expected to arrive at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport in really just a matter of minutes now.
So we've seen security, of course, beefed up for a vice presidential visit. We don't believe that the vice president is going to get off the plane and be in a motorcade or anything like that. We believe he is going to stay at Sky Harbor Airport. We're all going to have to watch and see what happens. All right, Bianca Bono's out there for us. You have a good perspective out there. You're on the parking garage of Terminal 4. And as we explained in our last half hour, Terminal 4 is, I think, the busiest terminal at the airport. And then Terminal 3. They're actually going to Terminal 2, which is on the far west side of the airport. It's a small terminal, and it's easily secured. What are you seeing out there, Bianca?
Last 5 minutes or so, we've started to notice some black SUVs pull out onto the tarmac of Terminal 2, that executive terminal where Air Force 2 will be landing in anticipation of this plane's arrival. We also have seen at least a dozen Phoenix police vehicles with their lights on driving around the runways here. And you mentioned these terminals are typically very busy. That has changed significantly in the past 3 minutes or so. It appears as though there may be a hold on takeoffs and landings now, just in anticipation of Air Force 2's arrival. I'm seeing just south of me an American Airlines plane is taking off, but nothing is happening on the main tarmac here where we expect Air Force 2 to touch down. I mentioned earlier there were some supporters of Charlie Kirk that have shown up here. They are now kind of in position facing the north, just waiting until we get that first glimpse of the plane coming from the north. We last checked and it was about in the Black Canyon City area. Pretty moving moment as a couple showed up here. A military veteran himself showed up with an American flag. They plan to drape that flag over the Terminal 4 parking garage, hoping that those on board Air Force 2 will be able to see it. So emotions certainly very high for those that have shown up here to pay their respects to Charlie Kirk, guys.
Yeah, the rules are very different, Bianca, when you have Air Force One or Air Force Two land. Generally, they do a full ground stop, so no other planes are taking off and landing. And then the other thing that we just don't know for sure, again, I mentioned it earlier, we don't know if the vice president is planning on traveling here in Phoenix at all. And if he doesn't, whether or not Charlie Kirk's body and his family will be in some sort of a motorcade. Now, I've been in a motorcade before, and it's a surreal feeling. I was with the vice president, I'm spacing on the vice president's name, sorry. But it was so strange because you don't stop for stoplights. You don't stop for stop signs. You get on the freeway. There's nobody else on the freeway. And so they travel very quickly when they get to their destination.
Well, yeah, and when you talk about how they just travel without any stops, I mean, we've all kind of been on the receiving end of it in traffic because literally it will come to a standstill. They will block off all entries and exits onto the freeway. They will just clear it so that there is just, you know, a smooth pathway to their destination.
Yeah, so we are waiting. We got word about, I'd say at least 5-6 minutes ago that they were over Prescott Valley, and generally that's about 5 or 6 minutes. So we should be able to see Air Force 2 any minute now. So what else is going on out there, Bianca? How about security? Tell us what you've seen out there in the last 10 or 15 minutes.
Security is visible, I can tell you that, and obviously there are so many layers that we are not seeing, but Phoenix police and other entities that are certainly helping out in this effort are making it known that they are securing this airport today for this tragic event. I mentioned what we're seeing in the executive terminal alone. Of course, that's where all eyes will be in a matter of minutes here. But I'm seeing black SUVs that are there in position already on the tarmac, along with Phoenix police vehicles. I'm watching another Phoenix police vehicle with its lights on, just driving around, really patrolling the entire perimeter of Sky Harbor Airport right now as we await Air Force 2's arrival. We are keeping our eyes peeled to the north as really we can see the plane come into this airspace any second now, guys. We're not sure if the plane will be landing east to west or west to east. I'm not sure if that's information that's been relayed to you guys back in the studio, but we are watching for that because we're not totally sure. I am seeing police in every direction you can imagine. I'm watching a Phoenix police fire truck with its lights on right now on the east side of the tarmac. Again, just patrolling the entire perimeter of Sky Harbor right now.
All right, we just got word that we believe the plane is landing east to west, or at least that's the way traffic is going right now. So you may be looking more to your right, Bianca, with these shots here. But I would imagine in the next few minutes, that's going to be the only arriving plane. So as soon as you see it come in there.
Okay, we just got word that Air Force Two is passing Scottsdale Airport.
So we should be able to see it any minute.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just, what, 20 minutes away from here if you're driving. So really, any second now, we should hopefully be able to see Air Force Two. Bianca, you just mentioned, the supporters. About how big is this group on the rooftop with you?
On the rooftop near me, I'm seeing about a dozen people or so, and I can tell you from zooming into our camera, we saw another group of supporters on the rooftop of Terminal 3, and I imagine they are scattered all around this airport, probably some in the cell phone lots as well. A lot of people felt like it was important to be here to welcome Charlie Kirk's body back home to Arizona and pay their respects. I imagine there are so many people still turning up to Turning Point's headquarters today. But like I said, just really moving to see this military veteran showing up with an American flag here today to drape that over. It was very important for them that they give those on board the opportunity to see that flag and know that they are welcomed with open arms back to Arizona.
Well, it just goes to show you the regard that the Trump administration had for Charlie Kirk. They credited him with really mobilizing young voters for their successful ticket coming up last year. And so that's why you have a vice president basically escorting his body with his young family back here. I would imagine we should be able to see it just about any second here. It's not a small plane. It's a modified 757. They've been making those planes, for 50 years. It doesn't look like Air Force One. It's got the same paint job. It's a very similar paint job, but it's got a much thinner body. Yeah, I would imagine that is it.
All right. And that is Air Force Two. We see it now coming from Salt Lake City, Utah. It left there just about an hour ago with the body and the casket of Charlie Kirk. Obviously, J.D. Vance, he was a good friend. They were good friends together. In fact, he had said that Kirk had advocated in public and private for President Trump to pick Vance as his running mate last year. So this is deeply personal for the vice president. We also know that his wife, Second Lady USA, is also aboard Air Force Two along with his family. We know that Kirk leaves behind his wife, 2 young children. There are also some friends aboard Air Force Two. Just a very private and emotional journey back to his home state. Yeah,
personal and public, as you mentioned. So Air Force Two just banked off to the east. It is now turned in. It's going to come in and land towards the west, and that is towards the downtown Phoenix and central Phoenix area. It's going to land. It takes a few minutes to taxi. One thing we haven't seen on an Air Force One or Two in a very long time is them bringing a casket off of that plane. You think back to the assassination of John F. Kennedy on those horrible days back in 1963 when they had to bring a lift up. These planes aren't necessarily fitted to be able to do that. So that's something we're going to see in a few minutes as well. All right, so are you able to see with the naked eye out there, Bianca?
We are. The plane is pretty far out to the east of Sky Harbor now, but I imagine it'll start to turn around and head back toward this way. And yeah, it'll be incredibly emotional to see a casket get carried off of this aircraft. The folks that have shown up here, I'm seeing people wipe tears from their eyes. The second that they got a glimpse of that plane, I imagine it started to feel very real for them, what is about to happen here. And the second that we could see that coming in from the northeast down towards Sky Harbor, it was all eyes were glued to the sky here. And you can kind of feel a mood shift. People were talking prior to seeing the plane, and now it's gone pretty quiet up here and quite somber as people just watch this aircraft start to make its way, I imagine, turning around and heading back towards the west. And Tram was starting to talk a little bit about just, again, how personal this is for the vice president. This is his good friend that has passed away, that he is on board his casket with, and with his family and with his children. A friendship that dates back to 2017. We talked about it at the top of the hour, but it started with a message that Vice President Vance received from Charlie Kirk, a person he didn't know at the time, and the two started chatting, and they had so much in common with regards to their political beliefs and their values. They were both skeptical of President Trump for a time and came around on that, and it sounds like Charlie Kirk was really a confidant for Vice President Vance throughout his political career, prior to, of course, him becoming the vice presidential pick. But we know that Charlie Kirk, according to J.D. Vance, was hugely influential in Donald Trump selecting J.D. Vance. So just every step of J.D. Vance's political journey, Charlie Kirk appears to have been a part of it. And not only that, J.D. Vance has talked about the fact that Charlie Kirk was there for him and his family personally as they then started to navigate the criticism and the intense scrutiny that comes with being the vice presidential pick, the impact that it had on his wife, on his children. Charlie Kirk would routinely ask him about that. So losing him yesterday was not just losing a political ally, it was losing a friend, guys.
Yeah, and he goes on to say, the vice president goes on to say that he really credited Kirk with some of the Trump administration's personal decisions. He said that so much of the success we've had in this administration traces directly to Charlie's ability to organize and convene. He didn't just help us win in 2024, he helped us staff the entire government. And Troy, I think you had mentioned how this is a moment, I think, in history where we don't see something like this, where there is a casket on
an Air Force One or Air Force Two.
Exactly, on a presidential
It's the last
plane.
thing you want to see.
Exactly, and I think that just goes to show how revered he was, clearly by President Trump, but also J.D. Vance, and how deeply personal this is. This wasn't just a colleague. It was his dear friend who helped him in so many ways. So to send Air Force One, immediately the day after he was shot, that really, really speaks volumes.
Yeah, and Air Force Two, and on a on a human level, look, I know Charlie Kirk was a divisive individual. Not everybody agrees with his politics, and I think that's well established. But just on a human level, sitting there with a grieving young wife. This is a young family, and the two young children has to be incredibly difficult. Is it possible for us to keep Bianca's picture up and get Jade's microphone up? Because I believe what we're seeing down at the ground level is something we saw at Salt Lake, where they've been positioning buses in to kind of keep the privacy of the family as they leave. Jade, are you down there, and are you witnessing that?
Yes, I am out here. We are actually at the cell phone waiting lot, which is right across the street from Lincoln J. Ragsdale Executive Terminal. You see that rental car shuttle has just been positioned in front of a gate which leads onto the tarmac. And, this obviously is a high-profile landing, so they are taking every security precaution they can ahead of the arrival of Air Force Two. We have seen heavy law enforcement presence from Phoenix police officers, surrounding this area. We have seen drones up in the sky. We also have Secret Service who checked all the media. As you can imagine, there is a lot of media out here waiting for Air Force Two. Secret Service checking all of our equipment, our cameras, our luggage and backpacks. And then you also have, as you guys were seeing earlier, the law enforcement officers on top of the rooftops of the buildings out here. So yes, of course, they are taking every security measure that they possibly can.
Are you seeing any indication? Now, the president travels in those long stretch limousines that are known as the Beasts. There are two of them. And then they generally have those big black SUVs that are run by the Secret Service, which are full of weaponry and different gear to keep the president safe. What are you seeing in the motorcade out there?
Yeah, from our vantage point, it's a little bit difficult to see the motorcade from. We do see several black SUVs, and we are seeing, of course, the law enforcement, Phoenix police officers on the tarmac as well. There also are those rental car, those buses blocking and on the tarmac for obviously security measures. But from where we are, we don't really have the best vantage point of what exactly will make up that motorcade. Just
right,
a
Jade.
couple of black SUVs from what we can see here.
Thank you. Wrap you up real quick here as Air Force Two is just now touching down at Sky Harbor Airport with the body of Charlie Kirk, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Charlie Kirk's family.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk's family, along with Charlie Kirk's friends, are also on board. J.D. Vance's wife, Usa, is also on board. Not just personal allies, but personal friends of Charlie Kirk, all aboard and bringing back his casket. We know that a hearse is also waiting down on the tarmac to carry that casket to a nearby mortuary. But right now, just a very somber moment right now. You have supporters up on some of the rooftops of the Terminal 4 where Bianca's at, and just very moved, some even in tears at the sight of this.
So there will be a little taxiing here, and generally it's fairly short. So they've gone down to the far west end of the runway, and again, the modified 757, which has close to the same paint job that we see on Air Force One is what Air Force Two has. It's a smaller plane, and it'll get into place in front of Terminal 2. I thought I saw some chase vehicles going out to it. So there'll be vehicles out there that will get out there and kind of secure it and get around it right away. Again, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to unload Charlie Kirk's body from here, and whether or not the vice president is going to make an appearance of some sort and walk the widow and the family down onto the tarmac.
We'll have to wait and see, but we want to bring in right now Stanley Kephart. He has been with law enforcement for almost 40 years now. He's now retired. He used to be the Salt River Police Chief. Stanley, you've covered big visits like this, obviously not in detail this situation with the body being brought back after an assassination. But in a situation like this, we keep talking a lot about security, and we've seen a lot about security. What is happening here?
This is a close protective detail security assignment where you have a unit that is going to envelop the principals here that they're assigned to. And then there is an adjunct to that, which will be the route of travel, which will be covered by local authority and the Secret Service as well. So it's a cooperative effort that umbrellas the touchdown, the removal of the casket, and then the transfer of the casket and the parties that are involved with this all the way through.
So they'll come down, and I've seen this with Air Force One. I'm trying to think the last time I saw a landing of Air Force Two. There was a small chase unit, and generally, I guess I'm seeing one of the units. Is that the hearse, or I see at the bottom of your screen, or maybe that's just one of the cars?
We do see people walking.
So they'll go through, and they'll kind of surround this plane, won't they?
Yes, that is typical of this assignment. This is an umbrella, if you will, of security that has different component parts and different assignments for different agencies, but they all work in coordinated fashion to effect proper security.
Is there a difference between, the security and the detail between when Air Force One lands versus Air Force Two, and also in a very, delicate situation like this, where there is a body being brought back to Sky Harbor?
Sure. With the first part of your question, there is a difference in terms of magnitude, in terms of assignments. The plane is smaller, the number of people are smaller, and so accordingly you would have fewer task operatives doing this. As it relates to the objectives of the security, they're the same. They're identical. They're there to provide appropriate security based on the level, the threat assessments that are done prior to this. There is an infinite number of things that go into the actual doing of this process.
All right, let's get back out to Jade if we can. Jade's picture is on the top right of your screen. She's on the ground. It looks like they have brought out the stairs, and the back door to the plane of Air Force Two has opened up. What are you seeing, Jade?
Yeah, guys, so we did see that staircase kind of move towards the back of Air Force Two there. No doors have opened yet, but again, on board, we do know that Charlie Kirk's family and friends, looks like they're opening the door right now, and it looks like they're moving that bus right in front of us. So I don't know if you can see through where we are, but it looks like they have opened the back door of that aircraft again on board. We do know that Charlie Kirk's family and friends on board, Vice President J.D. Vance and the Second Lady, as well as Charlie Kirk's body. As we were talking earlier, of course, security is of the utmost concern here. They are leaving no stone unturned. Law enforcement is very heavy where we are. We are in the West Cell Phone waiting lot right across the street from Lincoln J. Ragsdale Executive Terminal. We are seeing Phoenix police officers. We are seeing Secret Service.
Jade, sorry to interrupt you here, because we do have a vantage point that you don't right now. It looks like there are a number of people getting off of Air Force Two right now, and they have moved, like as I said earlier, we saw it when they took off in Salt Lake City. They are moving those buses in, I believe, to give the families some privacy as they leave the plane. But I'm counting, and this is a ways off. What would you say, about a dozen people have gotten off?
At least.
Yeah.
Oh, at least.
And it's hard to see who they are. I mean, any idea who you think would be traveling with them?
I really don't know. There's a substantial security component, I'm sure.
Right, and then we understand there were also some friends of Charlie Kirk as well who may have been traveling with him, and maybe some staff from Turning Point. And I don't know, that hasn't been confirmed. One thing that has been confirmed, we just heard this from our producer a couple of moments ago. President Trump had talked about basically his people wanting him to come out here for any funeral. He has confirmed he will be out here for the funeral. We don't have a date yet, but President Trump will be traveling here to the Valley. And it appears, doesn't it, that they are moving in that lift that we talked about.
Right, that apparatus.
Yeah.
Right, it looks like, I mean, we assume to carry the casket.
Right. Oh, and it looks like the front of the plane is open as well. But what I believe what we just saw was a lot of people getting off the back of the plane. So we don't know who's going to come off here. It's very difficult for me to see. Maybe we could take that full screen. I don't know if anybody can recognize who that is. Probably just somebody who's helping with the flight or a member of staff out there as well. Jade, you might have a good shot on this. This is your camera. What are you seeing?
Hey guys, yeah, so unfortunately they keep moving that shuttle bus right in front of the aircraft, so we really don't have a great vantage point of the aircraft from where we are. But I can tell you that there is a large crowd of Charlie Kirk supporters outside on the other side of this gate. They are people of all ages. They have been gathering here all day. When I got out here around 3 o'clock or so, there was minimal, maybe a handful of people, and you can see that it has since grown quite large. You have people with American flags, hats. Obviously, they want to pay their respects to Charlie Kirk out here waiting for that glimpse.
Yeah, and I was mistaken. This is not Jade's camera. Yeah, Jade is back on the other side of that bus. This is your camera here. I'm sorry, tell us again. What are we looking at here, Jade? Now we're seeing your camera.
And a lot of supporters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, we are at the West Cell Phone waiting lot. We are right across the street from the Lincoln J. Ragsdale Executive Terminal. We are on the other side of where Air Force Two has ended its journey. You can see the supporters that have gathered out here in that other cell phone waiting lot. People of all ages. They are holding American flags. They have, you know, hats on, patriotic hats and clothes, and they obviously just want to pay their respects to Charlie Kirk as well as his family and friends. They're wanting to catch a glimpse of the motorcade as it possibly, you know, will eventually go by. But yeah, unfortunately, Air Force Two, we just don't have a good vantage point from where we are here.
Yeah, and they're doing that again for privacy for the family. And look, they've been through a lot. And it's understandable. The one thing we don't know is what this motorcade is going to look like. It was Mike Pence who I was with, the vice president, when we were in that motorcade. And that was an official vice presidential motorcade where they actually go in advance. There are teams of usually motor officers on their motorcycles that go through and shut off every different intersection. So you never slow down. You're doing 50 miles an hour on city streets. When you get on the freeway, there's nobody else on that freeway. What do you think? Do you think they're going to get the official motorcade here? Or?
I would be surprised if they didn't. I would actually be surprised if they didn't.
And we are seeing some motor officers getting ready here.
Yeah, I would think that would be the case.
I think it's pretty powerful if our photographer can hear us, but just